What's the pettiest reason you went to war with a complete stranger? This store wouldn't let me purchase any wine after I drove over 60 miles to get to their store, so I ran up a $10,000 order and let it get cancelled. There's a specific wine that I like to pair with some foods, and the closest Total Wine that had it was a 60-mile drive away. It was storming really hard that night, but I really wanted it for the holidays because I was most likely going to be cooped up inside. So I drive over and go inside to pick up the wine, along with some other stuff for the holiday parties. I must have been inside for maybe an hour, just browsing all the options in the store, and when it's time to check out, the cashier asked me for my ID. So I give it to her, but then she tells me she needs to see the ID of the other person I was with. I'm confused, and I tell her that I'm alone and there's no one with me, and she responds by saying she needs to go get the manager. He comes out to tell me that she told him I was with someone, and they need to come back and bring their ID or they won't sell it to me. I told him I wasn't with anyone, and he asks to see my ID, to which he looks at it and says, "Well, unfortunately you look young. You can come back tomorrow, and if you're alone then you can buy the wine." I find it extremely disrespectful to tell someone they look young while you're holding their ID in your hand, and not to mention I've been shopping at that exact location for about 4 years and have never had a problem. So I told him about how I drove there and have been shopping there for years, and that I even have a second form of ID, but he kind of giggled and just said no. I left very angry. It was late, around 9 p.m, I had about an hour and a half drive back home in the storm. When I got home, I did what any other angry alcoholic who didn't get their fix would have done. I wrote an online review detailing exactly what happened, and then the next day I got a call from the store manager. Turns out the guy that night was an assistant manager or something, however he was much more pleasant than the woman that called me. She was extremely rude and condescending. She told me that she reviewed the cameras and that someone walked in with me at the same time, so that makes us a party. I told her I didn't know them, to which she said it didn't matter. In what world are you not allowed to walk into a store at the same time as someone else? I felt like I was in a circus of some sort talking to the head clown. The worst part about all of this? She said that the employees who were watching me saw that person leave 30 minutes before I went to check out. They watched him leave. I can't even begin to understand what their thought process must have been in order to watch that guy leave and not say anything about it, and then watch me shop around for another 30 minutes with the full intent to deny me any service. Why would you waste my time like that? This made me extremely angry, because even if that was the case and that is your policy, then at least you can offer an apology for the inconvenience or something like that, but instead you're going to call me just to argue and start some beef? I was already kind of over it because it had been like 2 days, but just her whole attitude and nastiness about the whole thing was really adding insult to injury. So I decided to look up their policy, and their policy clearly states that this only applies to parties at checkout, so they weren't even enforcing their policy correctly since I was alone at checkout. Another policy I saw which was interesting was that any online order not picked up within a week will be issued a full refund to your original payment method. Later that day, my friends and I were sitting at home drinking a ton of liquor, and I was telling them about what happened and they were all shocked. I'm so drunk and pissed off at that moment that I decided to enforce their own policy on them, and I made a $10,000 order for the soonest possible pickup time, which they promised to have ready within 3 hours. I used to work retail for a long time, specifically during COVID, and I know what an inconvenience it is to set up big curbside pickup orders because they take up a lot of space on the order shelf. So I made sure to order the cheapest, heaviest bottles I could think of so it can take up the most amount of space, and I made sure to only order like 1 or 2 of each so they couldn't just give me a case. They had to get individual ones, and I ordered their whole supply of Tito's since it's popular and it's the holidays and I know people are going to be looking for it, and this store had its curbside order section in the front behind a counter where you can see it. I knew when customers saw it, they would ask for it, and then they would have to explain how someone ordered all 238 bottles and they're back there on reserve, and then they'd probably get grouchy and ask for a manager. But the manager would surely be busy because I made sure to order a lot of bottles behind the glass so they would have to run around with their keys scrambling to get this order ready. I worked retail, and I know how much stuff like this throws off a schedule and annoys the managers. So I loaded up the cart until I got bored and placed the order. I got the email confirmation which specified that you have to wait for the pickup confirmation email, and that pickup times aren't guaranteed, so I thought for sure they were either going to cancel the order or call me or something. Well, 5 hours later, I got the pickup email. And just like that, the fun began. I just stayed at home and never left. In a couple hours, I got a pickup reminder email saying to come by and to pick up my order. Then 3 days later, a second reminder. Then 7 days later, I got my final notice email saying my order is going to get cancelled unless I come to pick it up. A full 10 days later, I got a phone call, and it was the manager acting like a completely different person, this time asking when I was coming for the order. At this point, I think she knew I was messing with them because it had been 10 days and she knew my name from the previous feedback thing. So I told her, yeah, I went to pick it up and was told I looked too young so I don't want it anymore. Then she got mad and said, "Are you seriously not coming to pick this up?" I just said, "Nah," and hung up. They were supposed to automatically cancel the order at the 7-day mark, but didn't she call me 10 days later asking me to pick up the order? So I called their customer service line to cancel it, and she told me that some stores wait until the end of the month to do it. I'm assuming the manager was trying to hold out on refunding until the end of the year for a better number. Retail does that. I made them cancel it right there and then.